Presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and powered by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Welcome to the podcast where former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp walks you through real-life scenarios involving our police officers and digs into the depths of facts and opinions on each case. This is Cop Talk, and it starts now.
Hello and welcome to Cop Talk, the radio show and podcast of the Strong Blue Line. I'm Tim Rupp. In me is the operations manager for the Rev.FM. Me and my voice. We need to get a new mouth from me or something, Gary. Mr. Mouth. Gary Austin. There we go, Gary. Hey,
Tim Rupp.
Hey, we need to get right into this because we have our special guest, Pastor Shane, back again.
Yes.
And we're going to continue that. Yeah, we're going to look forward to that interview. But before that, we're going to honor the officers who have been killed in line of duty on this date in history. Here we are, Gary, January the 7th, 2026.
I can't believe it.
First show of the new year. It's
exciting.
Man, time goes by.
Yeah.
Okay, I have Private David Clark, Texas Rangers. January 7th, 1837.
Ooh.
So you know what that means? That was during the time of the Texas Republic.
Yeah.
Remember, 1836?
Yep, before statehood.
Yep. So in late 1836, the Republic of Texas ordered the creation of 3 ranger companies to protect the inhabitants living on the frontier from marauding Indians. So there's where the Texas Rangers came from.
Oh.
1836. They said, we got to get 3 companies. So the Company B of the Texas Rangers was under command of Captain Thomas Brown. He was stationed at Fort Milam near present-day Falls County. A scout reported Indian tracks about 12 miles from the fort. Sergeant Urath led 10 Rangers and 3 civilian volunteers who located the Indians camped on the high ground of the bend of Elm Creek, not far from present-day Rosebud in Cameron County.
Huh.
As daylight approached, now, this is reading like an old Western, Gary. As daylight approached on January 7th, the Rangers left their horses tied and crept within rifle range of the Indian camp. Erath encountered about 100 Indians. When a camp dog wandered toward the Rangers, Erath decided to attack. I mean, this just sounds like a Western. Here comes the Indian's dog.
Yeah.
Let's attack before the dog gets back and warns them. The initial shots killed or wounded several Indians, but the Indians soon discovered they had a numerical superiority and moved to outflank the Rangers. Private Clark and volunteer Frank Childers were wounded. During the battle, Sergeant Erath McLaughlin were also wounded. And they ran up a gully. They ran up a gully towards the Rangers. Erath stayed a little longer with Clark, who was then sinking, but he left as he saw a dozen Indians approaching. When the Rangers returned later, they found Clark had been scalped and his hands cut off. The body of Childers was found sitting against a tree, dead from a gunshot wound. This incident was known as the Fight at Elm Creek.
Huh.
Private David Clark enlisted in Colonel Burleson's ranging corps of mounted riflemen, served in Captain Hill's company on July 3rd, 1836, and served till September 11th, 1836, when he transferred to another company out of Lincoln County and Company B from Lincoln County, Missouri. So they had guys coming from out of state.
Yeah.
Anyways, 40-year-old Private Clark. So 40-year-old private. So
My
I mean,
goodness.
he just joined up. He was survived by his wife and son, but Indians swooped down and did him in. What do you have there? What do you have there, Gary?
This is Officer Tyrone Franklin, Patterson Police Department, New Jersey. End of watch, Sunday, January 7th, 2007. So off duty, Officer Franklin was at a fast food restaurant. He was paying for his food when a man approached him and demanded his money. During the ensuing struggle, the man shot him 4 times. The man then shot him 2 more times as he lay on the ground after a witness yelled at him, saying the victim was an officer. The man also shot and wounded a citizen who attempted to come to Officer Franklin's assistance. So the suspect fled the scene after the shooting. He was then later arrested by officers from the Patterson Police Department and the United States Marshals Service in nearby Irvington, New Jersey. And it was several days later, that was January 16th, 2007, when he was found and arrested. On May 9th, 2008, the man was convicted of Officer Franklin's murder and sentenced to 37 years in prison. Officer Franklin, who was only 23, had served with the Patterson Police Department for only 8 months.
Wow.
Survived by his 16-month-old son. So,
wow. You know, and that was another officer that was off duty when he was killed.
Yeah.
And you'd asked about that, Gary, off air, and ask about, well, these officers are off duty. Are they considered on duty? Yes, if they are taking police action and they're killed, they're considered line of duty deaths. Because if they weren't, like the person knows that they're a police officer. If they, he's a cop, so I'm going to shoot him because he's a cop. The reason why he was shot is because he's a cop, so that makes him on duty. Or if they're taking action as a police officer, they're considered considered on duty. Yeah,
very sad.
Anyways, well, you know what? We're gonna go back in time, if you will.
Okay.
Or if you won't. We have Pastor Shane here, so.
Well, thank you, Pastor Tim. I am just, again, so blessed to be here. I love the Strong Blue Line. I love the Rupp family. I love your ministry, and I of course love Gary.
Of course, and yeah, I know why you love Gary. It's because of Carrie and her Christmas candy.
And her Christmas candy.
Oh my
He makes
goodness.
me sound good, even if I do my Trump impersonation.
I love the Trump.
Possibly the greatest, But, I want to continue the conversation that we left off last program with the Strong Blue Line, because I think it's such a wonderful ministry. I believe in it. As someone who's been on both sides of the aisle, Pastor Ty, our lead pastor, came in the other day and was like, "Oh, you got Shane on your side now, right?" Because if you know my testimony, it's one on the other side of the law, and now through the grace of God, man. I am so thankful for our first responders, especially our policemen, because they help our communities in safety. But also, I remember when the cops came pounding on my door, it was a wake-up call. And I'm so grateful for them.
Shane, one thing I have recognized this through the years. I mean, back when I was a policeman, active policeman, the people who really appreciate officers more than anybody are the former criminals, if you will, on the other side.
Yeah.
Either the drug addicts, the thieves, the burglars, because when they finally get on their feet and grow up and become productive citizens, if you will, in society, they really, really appreciate the police.
It's wonderful.
So it's been good. So
the Strong Blue Line supports police officers and their families, and we want to make that thin blue line the Strong Blue Line.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I know we talked about how the Strong Blue Line is a 501c3, and that really means you guys run on donations.
That's exactly right. We do.
And that opens up beautiful avenues for you to be able to not only talk to cops on the level that they need to, but also to bring the gospel into the equation, which is the most important part. I know you've said this before, winning a gunfight is not surviving a gunfight, but it's coming out stronger than when you went in.
Right.
And the most important part is the soul. And so as a 501c3, what do you need as the bare minimum to do your job successfully? And what are some of the visions that you have for the upcoming year when it comes to donations and necessity of it?
Yeah, and so a lot of people ask us that, and they, what does it cost? And so we have to break down our costs. Of course, Sherry, when she quit her job as a nurse, RN, so she stepped away from that job to help me out. And of course, a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, I quit my job as a full-time pastor, came on here. And anyways, So some of it is just our basic expenses. We're really with the economy the way it's going, But I'm not gonna harp on that. So we could use some more money there, but it costs anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 per event that we put on because of the travel expenses and all this kind of stuff. And so, of course, if we go somewhere and we do one event and then travel one day and do another event in another town, it's not costing that much, but it costs a lot of money. The biggest expense is travel, and if we provide books, we give away books, that we have to pay for the books, all that kind of stuff. And so it's several $1,000s. So the question is, well, how much do you need to operate what you're doing? Well, the more we have, the more we can do. Yeah. It's like, well, if we had $5,000 a month, we can do this much. If we had $10,000, we can do twice as much. We can do things like that. So we encourage people to support. And one of the ways we're looking at doing support, now we have individual supporters that support. Some support $20 a month, some support $50, some support $100. We have a couple that are supporting maybe a couple $100 a month, and they support us on a regular basis, and we depend upon that. And then there are one-time supporters. Yeah. Some will just write us a check for $100. Sometimes we'll get a $20 one-time. Sometimes we'll get a $1,000 or $2,000 one-time donation. All of this will go into ministry expenses and help us to do. Last year we were talking about, well, we got invited to go to South Dakota to participate in a Marine Junior ROTC event. Wow. And so we're like, okay, an ROTC event, does this fit what we're doing? Should we be doing this? And we prayed about it, talked about it, and we said, you know what? We have the opportunity. And these kids, Junior ROTC, that means they were high school kids. They were from the inner city of St. Paul, Minneapolis area. So these were not church-raised kids. Most of them, when we got there, we decided to go. We figured, well, the Lord's opening this opportunity. What Sherry and I was able to do, we were able to teach them firearms. So we're going there, teach them how to shoot pistols and stuff. And then I was able to speak to them. And so on several occasions, I would speak just 15 minutes at a time and talk to these kids. And then we were able to minister to them one-on-one. And there were 60 or 70 high schoolers there that we were able to speak to and share the gospel with. And we had them coming up with tears, crying, and thanking us so much. And these high schoolers, Shane, were from all over the world. I couldn't believe it. They were from Asian, all different places: Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, just from China, from all over the place. And these kids were here in America going to high school, and we were able to speak to them. And so there was just it's amazing things. We're like, well, how can we get there? And then the money would come in. You know, we would trust the Lord. The money would come in. One of the things that we're doing beginning in 2026, this year, in 2026, is we're looking at starting what it's tentatively called. We don't know if it's going to be this or not, but we're right now, the working name is Adopt a Cop. And what this is we're going to have this website created. Now, this is going to cost several $1,000s for us to do this. And I'll tell you, Gary and Shane, we don't have the money to do that. Right. So the Lord will have to provide this money. We believe that where the Lord guides, He provides, and we believe that He's guiding us to do this. And what we'll do is Christians will be able to adopt a cop, if you will. And so what that means is a Christian will go on the website, they'll sign up to adopt. It will cost $19 a month for them to adopt a cop. And what they'll do, we'll have officers that'll go on there and say, I want to be adopted. And so the officer, officers are, Shane, a lot of them are, okay, we'll give our information out. A lot of them are very hesitant about
reserved,
doing that.
Yeah.
Yes, because of all the ambushes and things going on.
Absolutely.
Of course, it's going to be a secure website. That's why the expense is going to be so much. But it's going to be secure. But let's say you're an officer in Boise, Idaho, and you're Officer Shane, and you may just put in there, I'm Officer Shane from Boise PD. That's all we know about you. But you're like, okay, I want to be prayed for. We don't know if you're a Christian or not. We don't know. You just want to be prayed for. And so I may be here in Idaho Falls. I want to adopt an officer from Idaho. Oh, there's Officer Shane in Boise. I'll adopt him. And so I adopt you, and I send you communications, how I'm praying for you. And you can start sharing stuff with me as you feel you want to. You might just say that, well, I work 3 to 11 shift, and okay, I'm praying for you. I'm going to pray for you every day at 3 o'clock because I know you're going on shift. And so I'll pray for you. And then later on, you start trusting me a little bit more, and you're like, you know what? I've got a wife and a small child. When my small child's going in the hospital, I'll pray for you for that. And so there's a more personal connection.
You're building relationships.
So you're building a relationship.
It's genius.
And so it's building a relationship with the hope of sharing the gospel message with them. And we will train people how to share a gospel. Another thing we want to do on that is have chaplains, police chaplains on call 24/7. So if Officer Shane from Boise PD, 3 o'clock in the morning, you feel like, I want to talk to a chaplain. You go on the website, you hit this thing, talk to a chaplain, a signal will go out, a chaplain will call you back.
Wow.
And say, what can I help you with, Shane? And, officers struggle. Their officers are 3 times more likely to die by suicide than being murdered in the line of duty. Officers are dealing with a lot of things, family pressures, peer pressure, pressure from administration, pressure from the job, all kinds of things. But, the Lord tells us, be anxious for nothing.
Yeah.
And so if he tells us that as a command, we can live our lives not being anxious for anything.
I think of the proverb that says, anxiety in a man's heart weighs it down, but a good word makes it glad.
Exactly.
And that's what these chaplains are going to be is
right.
giving them a good word and restoring them.
The chaplains are trained to deal specifically with officers. And so we're looking at having all this. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. And what's that going to do? That's also going to generate a revenue source for the Strong Blue Line. So what we would like to be able to do going forward, instead of going to agencies and having 15, 20, 25 officers at an event, we would like to have a bigger event as far as numbers where we can invite 100, 200 officers, and we could bring people in like Dave Grossman, Adam Davis, people that officers recognize, name recognition, bring them into an event where they're like, hey, it's a 2-day event or an all-day event, and they will get good training, solid police training that will go towards their continuing education, but they will also get the gospel.
Yeah.
And so they will get information about how to fight suicide, how to work with a peer that's maybe contemplating suicide, post-traumatic stress. I'm working on a class right now that may turn into another book, and the working name of it is "It's Okay to Be Okay." Victory in trauma.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at that, how to do that kind of stuff, and not only how to train officers, but how to train chaplains to deal with officers.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Some of the kind of things that we're looking forward to.
I love that. And so for the listeners, obviously you've built up your fan base, your listener base. How can people get involved financially if the Lord leads them to? If they want to support this, what's the best way to do that, Pastor
The best way to do that is through the website. And you go on the website, click the donate button. If you're on a computer, laptop, or a desktop, should be a big blue donate button. If you go to if you're on a mobile device, I think you have to scroll down to the bottom and you'll see donate. Click on there; it'll take you to Zephy. That's our donation platform.
Right on. And I know we have a couple of minutes left, but do me a huge favor, listeners. If you could spread the word about the Strong Blue Line, please spread it to all of your friends, your family, and any local law enforcement officers or agencies that you know. Get the word out there. The last question I wanted to ask you before we kind of end the program is what were some of the highlights over the last year, or is there a moment that you just saw God work in a just fruitful, miraculous way that you could tell your supporters, your listeners, and how God is affecting
there was a couple times at a couple of our Winning a Gunfight seminars. One was in Colorado, I remember. One was in South Dakota, where officers had come up afterwards or emailed me just with without asking for anything, they emailed me and they said, "Thank you so much for the presentation." I remember getting one from South Dakota about the moral injury in policing. And she said, "I've often thought about that, what you said, but now I understand it. And more than that, I understand how Jesus worked my life." And so it was just a fantastic testimony, if you will. But the number one for last year was at the beginning of the year. Right at about a year ago, in December of last year, I got this message through my messenger on Facebook. And it said, "Is this Tim Rupp that wrote the I know what it was. Let me back up. What happened is an officer contacted me through the website. If an officer contacts me through the website and says, "I want the book, Suicide is Not an Option," I will send it to the officer for free. No charge. The officer, they just put their information in there. So I got this back in December, and it was a San Antonio address. And so I sent that. It was to a female officer in San Antonio. And I didn't recognize the name. It sounded sort of familiar, but I didn't recognize it. I sent the book. And then about a month later, in January of this year, or January of last year, I got an email or a messenger saying, "Is this Sergeant Rupp?" And I said, "Yes." "Who is this?" And she gave her name. She said, "I'm the one that ordered the book. I didn't know this was you." She goes, "Do you remember me? I used to work in the chief's office, then I became a sworn officer." Then I remembered who it was. I had known her when I was active as a police officer 18 years ago. And I wrote this book, and she was going through some troubling times. Single mom, a lot of different, I'm not going to go into what, a lot of different problems in her life. But I said, I hope the book, and we kept in touch a little bit through Messenger. And she said the book was very helpful for her. It helped her get through that time. And if that right there was just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that. An officer that I worked with, that I didn't even know. I didn't know she became a police officer. And she'd been on about 15, 16 years now. And that was the best blessing of 2025.
I love that, man. And that is how God works. He uses our faithfulness in the small things to help save lives.
Yes, he does.
And so, Tim, thank you for all you do. Thanks for having me on. And if anyone's listening again, you know, when I want to get behind something, I want to know what I'm getting behind. And I hope these conversations has helped spark really what the Strong Blue Line, the essence and the purpose of the Strong Blue Line is, and the heart behind it, because that's what drives the ship.
Well, thank you so much, Pastor Shane. I really appreciate all your support and your advice and insight. People don't know that I go to this young man for advice from time to time.
That's good.
And, he gives me good biblical
full
advice.
Of advice.
Yes, he does. Hey, thanks for listening in. If you have a topic or question you want addressed on Cop Talk, send me an email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints to coptalk@therev.fm. Once again, that's coptalk@therev.fm. A thought from the good book today. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. Thanks for joining us and helping to make the thin blue line a strong blue line.
Cop Talk is presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and sponsored by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Questions and comments are always welcome by email to coptalk@therev.fm. Listen, follow, leave a review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And visit thestrongblueline.org to learn how you can be a supporter. Cop Talk is a Rev FM production, produced and edited by Gary Austin. Thank you for joining us on Cop Talk.